Now, as we talk, you're awaiting trial here in Romania. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, it's going to take a while. It looks like the Romanian judicial system often takes years to come to a conclusion before they eventually say I'm innocent. So the system it put me in jail for 92 days, and then I was released. Under Romanian law, I could have been kept longer, so I guess I'm happy about the fact that I'm free. I'm very sure of my innocence, but it's a long process. And in many ways, I thank God for giving me this experience, because when you grow up as a young man, you dream of being an explorer, an adventurer, or being monumentally successful and having a bunch of money and fast cars and seeing the 5-star areas of the world. But perhaps if you want to truly explore the map, you also need to see the other side of it all. And I'm glad I grew up in a humble background and a humble beginning. And I'm also glad that I got to experience a Romanian jail cell and the Romanian judicial system. So it's God's plan.
Well, you did say there's not much justice in Romania. Doesn't that kind of taint your position?
Is there much justice in the world? Do you trust an American court nowadays with some of the decisions they're making? Do you trust a British court with the decisions they're making? What is court? What is law? It's the interpretation of words which were written long time ago. How can different judges come to different conclusions based on the same law? Why does the lawyer you hire even matter if the law is fair?
Yeah, but I'm saying you're waiting their verdict here, so suddenly you've pointed the finger at them too.
Well, I think that when you understand the world, you understand that nothing in life is certain that involves people. We can talk about one of the highest courts of the land, the ICJ. What is law? Like what's being done about what's happening over there? Very little. So if you've ever been in a judicial process, you sit and understand that innocent and guilty is certainly part of it, but there's also a bunch of other factors, especially once you get to a certain level of fame, when you become so well known that your verdict will ripple around the world and it will cause consequence for nations. Then you have to sit and say, okay, whether I'm found innocent or guilty is going to affect nations. It's going to affect how justice systems are perceived internationally. Does that mean they're 100% interested in what's true and what's false and what's fair and what's not? Or is there a narrative being played behind where they sit and say, well, perhaps he didn't do anything wrong, but we're going to look bad if we say he didn't, so let's just put him in jail.
I'll get onto some of those points in a moment, but you've got civil court issues as well, accusers, and you've countersued. What would you hope to achieve with that?
What happens when you reach a certain level of fame is that, and anybody who's been fortunate enough to move from the lowest echelons to the highest echelons will learn that anybody they've ever interacted with in their life is going to come along wanting some degree of money or help. And that's fine. But there's also a bunch of people who are bitter, who you perhaps knew in your past, who want to try and benefit off of your fame. And that's what happens. And this is not unique. This is not an experience that only I am going through. I think you can name nearly any famous man in the world, and he has some form of civil charge against him for something that happened 20 years ago that he doesn't even remember, that probably didn't happen at all because somebody wants to finance their life off the back of you. This is just human nature.
You had your assets, a lot of your assets, taken by the Romanian authorities. Any chance for getting those back?
Well, I should get them back. What is law? What is court? What is a judge? What is fair? God is the only judge. And I truthfully have forgotten about all of them. I think it's around 15 million euros of cars, gold, watches, etc. I don't consider them mine anymore. I've forgotten about all of them. There's very little in this life you truly own besides your heart and your soul and your state of mind. I think those are the only things you can own. You can put me in jail, but I'll own my state of mind. I'll smile just the same. That's my decision. You can't take it from me. And everything else they can take from you, because unless you have enough guns to defend it, and you'll never have more guns than the state, it can be taken. You don't own houses, you don't own cars, you don't own anything else. And if you annoy the government, they're going to prove that to you. Doesn't
this view contradict what you say about making money and being the alpha male and being the guy with the possession?
Well, absolutely. I think that in fact, I don't think it contradicts. In fact, I think it complements perfectly, because when you work hard to be the best version of yourself so you can protect and provide for the people you care about, you're pleasing God. And you do that so that you can wake up and show him the beauty of his own creation. I can be the best version of me. I can make the people around me have the best possible lives. I'm not going to sit and be lazy or not try. And I believe that's all about building your character. It's not even about the money. It's about being the best version of yourself. If all the money in the world was taken from me, that's fine, because I'm still been a person who's worked very hard, been very diligent, who's very intelligent, who can make it all back. And I've also enjoyed this journey of life, which has brought me here with the good and the bad. And I think the greatest sin a man can commit in the world today is being a fraction of what he could be. I think that's the biggest sin you can commit in the face of your creator.
I'm going to go on to your views on masculinity in a moment, but you and your brother Tristan spent time in Romanian jail, you mentioned. what was the biggest lesson you learned from that? What do you recall most, the worst period of that too?
It's a good question. I think jail is just a hyper-condensed version of life. As a man, you have to show other people respect, otherwise violence will happen very quickly. It's the same out here in the real world, but in jail it's condensed, it's pressurized. You have to have mental control, you have to have control of your own mind out here in the real world, or you'll get depressed. Jail is the same, it's pressurized. So as long as you're good at life, you'll be good at jail. And I've never been a bully, I've never been an abrasive or aggressive person. I know how to respect people and make sure that I'm respected. And all in all, I don't think it taught me anything new. It just confirmed everything I knew about the realities of being human.
Now, there is the chance you will end up in the UK and in jail there. What did you think when you heard about the extradition notice?
Really interesting, because the UK has requested my extradition on some ancient charges from 2012. The warrant doesn't have any names. It doesn't have any locations. It doesn't even have any specific times. It only has a year. Quite interesting. I think the world is waking up to these tactics now. And I think the world is understanding that if you upset powerful people, they come at you with charges exactly like this. And I'm not the only one. We can name other people that has happened to. We can name somebody who's in Belmarsh right now because of it. So it's very common. It's actually quite scary.